And we are live. Hello, folks. This is Ruben Dua from the Dubb podcast. I'm so excited to have Greg Hanner with me today, who is so many more things than a real estate agent and a broker. You know, he's had a tremendously diverse background in real estate in all aspects, from building to selling to just working with great human beings. And in fact, he's a Power Dubb user. So I'm always curious to learn about, how you are using the platform, Greg, how you are gaining success, and frankly, how you became at one point the number one real estate agent in Connecticut and New England, and have you maintained a top 1 percentile as a real estate agent. I'm so psyched to have you on the show. If you could just start with a short bio on yourself, and let's just get into this, because frankly, people want to know how they can become in the top 1%.
Well, first off, thanks for having me, Ruben. And I'll lead with the putting the client first. That's what it's all about. And the success breeds success when your clients win, and winning doesn't necessarily mean pushing them to do the deal or to get the deal. It's sometimes helping them. My construction background, I find myself in a position where often I will explain to people that they need to step away from doing a deal and wait for a different opportunity if it's not a good match for them. But the thing that I find is that quick connection. Buyers, they're on their phones and they're swiping, and people will look at the different portals, Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, and they're swiping. And when they're seeing some eye candy, something that's appealing, they obviously have a need. If they're a buyer, they're going to click on it. And when they click on it, that is now going to blow their phone up with emails, calls, and texts from multiple agents that serve that area. And one of the differentiators that I think that at least it's proven that I'm able to close and convert at a high level. I utilize Dubb, and I utilize video in text and email within 5 to 10 seconds of an initial inquiry. And we just push that right out to them immediately.
Well, I mean, there's something really special, I think, about your general rhetoric and about your general just presentation of yourself, that it's just so obvious that you put your clients first and that you really see yourself as a confidant, as a trusted advisor for people. I get that essence from you right from the second that I speak to you. And I think that, this is one of the very difficult things for a lot of folks, I think, to realize, because one of the things that our culture has grown to accept is just this idea of the trophy culture. In real estate, one of the most common types of sales collateral that you might see or you might send as a real estate agent is your just sold or your just listed flyers. And the reason why people send these flyers is because they want to show that there's activity, that there's social proof, that other people are hiring them to list their house, or that they just sold their house with that person. And I think there's some importance to that. But what I always find interesting is that how is this real estate agent going to help me? I understand that they help those people, but where is that sort of personalization? I might not choose the person that has the best, fanciest, most colorful flyers. I might actually choose the person that's most personalized to me, that understands where I live, the neighborhood. What are the realities about my property? How am I going to maximize my value? How is the process going to be stress-free? And frankly, sometimes that personalization, that idea that this person is actually going to put me first, is what makes the connection. So my question for you is, how do you make your clients or your prospects feel like you have their best interest, and as a result, that they want to work with you?
Well, that's a good question. And actually, you have more insight than most people because of the fact, isn't your wife a realtor? Yeah. So you know. And the thing about it is, I think the direct access,
Mm,
number one, you've got to give them access,
mm.
to you. And of course that, when we have, I like the Calendly, and I have to force myself to put my personal stuff together with my professional stuff so that I can present my live calendar.
Yeah.
And that 15-minute discovery call link is available to people, and people will use it. But if you don't, if you're not disciplined, and if all of a sudden, if your calendar is wide open and you don't do any, it's a hard thing. And my brain goes in a lot of different directions when I try to answer the question, because I don't think it's an easy one. The putting the client first, to me, what does that mean? From the buy side, it means giving them, rock solid, information about the property.
Hmm.
And my construction background makes it easy for me to do, because I know what I'm looking at. And if there's questions that come up, there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know the answer, and be reliable and get the answer, or refer them to the expert. I don't know if that answers the.
Well, no, it totally does. It totally does. And I think, the reality is that there is no right answer as to how you can make your client feel like they are the most important thing. I think that, personalization, research, I think that these are some of the most important things. One of the things that I have learned from you is that you use Dubb, you use videos to create relationships with people. And I think that when you're doing that, what you're doing is building that parasocial relationship with people. They see you, they look at you, they trust you, they see where you live. They see that you're just a cool dude, right? And they feel like they can just get to know you, and potentially they can work with you.
Well,
And I think as a result, you had some really tremendous success. I mean, you have had, from the 144 videos that you've created, you have had 23,000 views.
yep.
And the thing that's really interesting about this metric is that most people that send 144 videos, if they're just doing it one to one, they're just they're going to get 144 views
Yeah.
because the person's going to watch it one time. But that just shows that you are effectively cloning yourself. You're figuring out ways to send one video message to many people, or you're putting it into places where multiple people can see it. And I think that that's the first thing that's so powerful about video, is the fact that we're effectively cloning ourselves. It's like a sales team, right? So every single one of those videos that you've created is like a sales rep that's supporting you. So, huge shout out to you for doing that.
Well, it's part of that is the structure. When you think about the carousel in Dubb, I utilize that where, if I've got active listings, the carousel will stack up, and I maintain the active listings. And once they've closed and sold, okay, they're coming off that carousel. So having, people will do their search. They're going to Google you. They're going to look at all of your credentials. And if you are inconsistent, or if they're not able to see, the performance, like you just said, with the flyers, I am not a flyer person. I'm more of a digital person. And uh, the call to actions that we can do on the custom landing pages in the platform, because it's not just delivery of that quick video. And I personally am guilty of, I leave so much on the table because I don't have a clone, and I could do a lot more one-to-one. So the underutilization, it's interesting, and I love the little short clips, the training that Darius put together and Robert put together.
Yeah.
There, you can get yourself up to speed pretty quick.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a team structure, I'm a solopreneur in terms of, I'm not someone that starts with a person, a buyer or seller. I don't like being handed off, so I don't have that structure. I don't know about you and your consumer experiences, but I stay in the transaction 100% of the time for my clients. But the team structure, I could see where you could have a Dubb expert that's the same person that's doing the social media, and they can get up to speed fast. I also like the templates in Dubb. That makes
Yeah.
it easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're definitely a power user. I mean, one of the other interesting statistics is that you've had approximately 3,000 CTA clicks. So
Yep.
let's just put this into context for a second here. You've created 144 videos, and then you've had 3,000 CTA clicks. So, I mean, if you're getting more than one CTA click on a video, you're doing extremely well, extremely well. And why is that? It's because your videos are being seen multiple times by multiple people. You're using the playlist feature. You're using, the templates. You're building your content very quickly and very efficiently. And
Yep.
this is key. This is key to building that relationship so that you can ultimately get into the top 1 percentile. What we're really talking about here is this idea of using video to create human connections with people, and that's, I think, what you've become an expert in. So, one of the other things that I'd love to talk to you about is when you are sort of crafting an email, when let's say you have a new prospect, right? What is the process that you go through where you say, okay, I've got someone new, maybe I've met them, maybe I have not, but I want to send them a video. Like, what is your process? Do you grab the mobile app? Do you use the webcam? How do you write the script? Do you use the teleprompter? What's the experience?
I love being in my office setting because of the real estate in terms of the number of inches in front of my eyeballs.
Okay.
So I do record a ton right through my Logitech webcam. Um, Once in a while, if I'm out and I've got news, like breaking news relative to a transaction, I will send that one-on-one video. Or but the email specifically, you said, what's my workflow to run through create the text, the copy, but then I love to take and just copy at the top right that GIF email link. I'm putting it into Zoho. Okay, I don't like Gmail. I have Gmail on a backup personal level, for I think for my calendar in there, but I don't, so I'm not utilizing. I have the Dubb app, and I have the new, and I do like the new app. It's the app inside of Windows 10. I'm a
Oh,
Windows
the desktop app. Great.
desktop app. So my workflow is, but getting that email out the door, putting that content right below that first hook, that first sentence, the greeting, you got that first sentence and that animated GIF's there. Boom. When that client clicks that or the receiver clicks that, they're ending up on the player page, which then has some other call to actions on it. Some certain things. I'm a endorsed local provider, ELP, for Dave Ramsey. Okay, for his folks, when one of his listeners want to be served here in Eastern Connecticut, I'll go and I have a greeting. It's welcome. Letting them know that I'm here to help them. But then I've got my calendar invite, and I've got the link to my success stories, which goes to my rate my agent page, which pulls everything together. And when people keep seeing different buyers or sellers saying similar things, that's the secret sauce to getting yourself, selected, or at least having you get yourself at the kitchen table, so to speak.
So let me ask you this: Are you using evergreen videos? And what I mean by that is, do you have a video that you record and then you send that to a particular person, like, for example, the Dave Ramsey folks?
I have evergreen videos for each platform.
So
So
let's okay. So this is a mic drop moment here. Okay, you have relatively a low number of videos in your Dubb account, but you have relatively a massively large number of views and CTA engagement. Okay, so this is a perfect case study here, because what it shows is the power of repeatability and scalability, which is my favorite term. Okay,
Yeah.
when it comes to video and using Dubb and the whole platform throughout your process. If you think about every single lead source that you have for your prospects, right, for your referrals or prospects,
Yep.
there's a potential video that could be created for every single one of those. So let's say that there's an attorney that you work with who sends you referrals. Boom, that's one video. Let's say that there's a title agent, or let's say that there's a loan officer. They send you referrals. Boom, that's another one. Let's say that there's your brokerage, your team. They have some sort of a lead gen service. They send you referrals. Boom, that's another one. Let's say you have your Facebook ads. Dubb has a deep integration into Facebook to use Facebook lead ads.
Yep.
That's another evergreen video. So if you just map out your business, put it on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard, and figure out every single lead source that's bringing you leads and prospects, every single one of those could have a personalized video. And the great thing about it is that you can retitle the URL of those videos, the little slug, so that it's dubb.com/v/referral from Dave. And then you can send that link to them, QR code, SMS, email. You can automate it. There's so many different ways that you can send that URL, that video, to them. And of course, if you use the Dubb Chrome extension, you can have an animated GIF in the body of your email. This is a massive learning for real estate agents, in my opinion. And you're a pro on it, and you're doing it, and your numbers show. So, nice job.
Well,
I'm really impressed.
You just brought up something. In a listing environment, one of the things that we'll have, fire open the laptop, take a look at some of the market stats. I don't have a canned PDF presentation. I engage the sellers and ask them what is their story and interview them. And interestingly enough, right at the top, I will typically go and take my cursor and hover over the Dubb, click on that Dubb app, the activity tab, the third tab over. Guess what? I'm doing it right now live. 43 minutes ago, I'm in Connecticut. So 43 minutes ago, someone in Amarillo, Texas, played 25% of my, actually, it's of all things, my Dave Ramsey trusted broker.
There it is.
and then someone clicked my spring of 2023. Oh, in Amarillo, Texas, that same person just clicked on, I can see my spring seller's guide. And it's crazy because I can just scroll and just keep Glastonbury, Connecticut, 1 hour ago. Someone looked at a listing page. And then Spring Hill, Tennessee, 5 hours ago, someone looked. 100% of a video, and you just keep scrolling and you just keep scrolling, and you're like, well, this is how we do it. And, we get you exposure, Mr. or Mrs. Seller.
Well, I think something that's very interesting here is that person, and this is just a one-off, but that person watched 25% of the video and they clicked on the call to action. So that means that to me says they were engaged. They were curious. They wanted to learn more. They didn't actually have to watch your entire video. They're like, you know what? I'm in. Let's go.
Well, that video, I can tell you it's 39 seconds.
Okay.
And the reason it's 39 seconds is having it that short in my CRM, which I use Wise Agent, that will go fire a text that is got the video GIF playing in the text, and it's awesome.
There you go. That's it. So now what we're talking about is automation. I think being a top 1% real estate agent, there's a couple of things that are really important in this process. Number one, we talked about this idea of putting the client first. Number two, we talked about this idea of, personalizing your communication.
Yep.
Another thing that we're talking about here is scaling yourself, recording evergreen videos. And now I think the next thing, which is what I call the final frontier, is automation. Actually figuring out ways to have technology send an email or send an SMS based on if a certain activity takes place. So what you just explained was that there's an animated GIF that gets sent over if something happens. And
Yep.
we call this a smart sequence. Sometimes we call it an automated workflow. This is intimidating for a lot of real estate agents. They say, oh, how am I going to build an automated workflow? How am I going to build automation? This is not something that I do. Take us through the process of how you ideate, how you sort of envision how you want your automations, workflows to take place. What does that process look like?
Well, first off, the content creation, where does it come from? The content ideas for any of the, I'm a person that's, pretty logical thinker. And I will always go and take every day, you'll get a client that asks a question. If they ask a question, you want to get that built into your task list for the particular transaction. And it comes, generates the to-dos with, you can, I like the Gantt chart view where it's flowing out with the critical path to the whole transaction. Some things have,
That comes from your building experience as a
oh,
project
absolutely.
manager and the
Absolutely.
Gantt chart.
Yep. But what happens is that going back to the beginning, you gotta, the tone of all of the videos and all of the messaging is speaking. It's not, I don't go and say, hey, I'm number one, or I don't go and do all of these different, put those things out there. A person can dig into my bio and see that stuff, or they can Google, they find that stuff. I'm trying to solve their problem. And so what ends up happening is that, and it could even be I don't serve rentals. I don't do property management, but I can refer them to a person that does. So that building of the video, it starts with the content. The content creation should be coming from, I think, the problems that the buyers are having or situations that happen when a deal blows up because of, let's say, home inspections. Maybe use it as an example of, well, okay, here was a problem. Actually, I just now have a new content creation. I have photos of a septic problem that now has been solved, and it just happened. So put that into context. Hey, when a next person has a septic problem, hey, let me just share with you a quick, time lapse of that sequence. So your Darius on our Thursday meetings, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I had a hard stop, and I didn't get to watch the end of it. So I've got to go back and see, because Darius was doing a great job mapping and showing how within Dubb you can utilize the triggers. I haven't done it. I have it on the back end of in my Wise Agent account. So that's something that a feature I'm not even touching yet, and I'm going to, guaranteed.
Yeah, well, I think what you're talking about is this idea of a workflow trigger, and we spend a lot of time trying to make automation easy. And I'll provide a little bit of context on this. My background is actually in MarTech, marketing technology. I spent so many years of my life trying to figure out how to streamline the process of sales and marketing to ultimately get a human connection. That's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, it's about bringing two people together, right?
Right.
And, we all know that the person that signs the check is not a company. It's not an entity. It's an individual. So no matter what business you're working in, at the end of the day, someone's going to have to cut a check in order for us to get paid. And I think that when we think about automation, we think about the way that I love to explain this is just draw your business. Get a huge piece of white paper out, or a blackboard, a whiteboard, a chalkboard. I don't care what it is. Use chalk on your driveway. I don't care. Just draw the business. Figure out a way to understand where your leads are coming in from. What is the process that gets those leads to get converted to a warm prospect? And then how can that warm prospect be converted into a qualified client, a qualified prospective client? And then ultimately, how do we get some sort of a deal closed? And then it doesn't stop there. Then it stops with, how do I get a referral, and how do I get a testimonial, and how do I get them to leave a review, and how do I get that process to continue over and over and over again, and most importantly, improve it throughout the entire process. So I think that if we draw our business and then we figure out, let's just cut out 80% of this process. Like, what are the things that we're wasting our time on? Take out that 80% and then focus on that 20%, and then figure out, how do we build an automatic email that gets sent to someone? If they fill out a form on your website, have an automatic email go to them. If you paid money to get them to be a Facebook lead ad, create an automated workflow so that you can nurture them throughout the process, because speed to lead is important. You know, the 5-minute rule with customer service and sales is critical. You have to call people quickly. Otherwise, they're probably going to forget about you, or just think that you're not very, reliant. So speed is very important, but at the same time, just because you have an evergreen automated video, email, or SMS go out to them does not mean that you sacrificed personalization and human touch. They still are experiencing you, feeling you, hearing you, listening to you, learning from you, building trust with you. And that is that parasocial relationship. So, it's so great to have you on this journey with us. Give us another tip or two on how to be that top 1%. Like, guide us there. You've done it so many times before. What are we missing here?
Well, what you just said resonated with me.
Okay.
The client experience,
Yeah.
and that when you map out your business, there are little things that we each do that add up to a great client experience. And if you forget to do things because you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, so to speak, you now lost a little bit of that edge, and that experience is not as good. And I think the secret is to not, if you're always back on your heels and reactionary, that is a problem. You need to be, think of, I'm not a hockey player, but think of where the puck is going, not where, don't look at the puck, where is it going, and get yourself positioned there. And what happens is that all of a sudden the client experience is elevated because of the fact that you've already anticipated the next step. And when you've already, the fear of unknown is what elevates a client stress level. And in order to bring the client stress level down, I think we as agents or brokers have a responsibility to educate the client as to what's going to be happening next. And when you give them that information, now their stress levels are reduced. And so when you're mapping out that business, what are those little things you do? And what are those trigger points? We are in a transaction that has certain things happening. Today, I just had a client offer accepted. She's over the moon, excited. She now has 6 things that are going to be happening next in an email that was just pushed out with her contract, and she's on it. She's got her marching orders to her to-do list. And even if you don't want to use the rules, if that's too technical, if you feel you can't do it, well, there's no reason you can't have a paper to-do list. And that paper to-do list may be send a one-on-one video after offer acceptance, or send that one-on-one video. I have another client today who didn't get an offer. I should have sent, but I picked up the phone instead. I should have sent the video. If I didn't get him on the phone, that's when I would jump on sending him, hey, our offer didn't get accepted. Here's what I know happened. And we're on to the next one. His name was Rob. Hey, Rob, I never give up. There's always another deal. And so that comforting, that connection, and there's 3,000 miles between us. He's in California, I'm in Connecticut. So that, I think, putting that into, even if you don't want to build out hard rules, in a client workflow, I think that's important, because at the end of the day, when you want to get a Google review or a Zillow review or realtor.com, that comes from the client,
Yeah.
you know. And it's interesting. I've always thought that people that are not happy, they have fire in their belly and they have no problems going and, you know, tearing someone apart on social media.
Yeah.
To get a person to leave their experience, consolidate their experience into words to provide a positive testimonial about my performance in my case, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's the little baby steps that happen. And then when they are at their soccer game or something and someone says, hey, I'm going to be buying a house. Hey, I've got a guy. No, this guy's special. Here's why. And, then that person could just Google, in the video, I think helps, for sure.
What you're talking about is, I mean, this is very important. Getting reviews, testimonials, that social proof to be to not only become a top 1 percentile, but to maintain the top 1 percentile status. This is a challenging thing. My dentist here locally, Dr. Tong in Santa Clarita. If you go to his Yelp page, I was blown away when I went to it. It has hundreds of 5-star reviews on his Yelp page. And I remember seeing that at one point. In fact, that's probably how I found him and how I decided to go and visit him for the first time. And I said, if this guy's been reviewed so many times by so many people and it looked legitimate, I mean, there were some, 1 stars for some off reason, I think in there, you can tell when these reviews are bogus or not. So it seemed legitimate to me. And when I went to go see him, I said, I'm not going to leave a review until I see how he asks me to leave a review. Because I don't think this happens organically. I don't think people just, hundreds and hundreds of people just organically say, I'm going to leave you a review, right? I think you have to ask them. That's my theory. In fact, I'm certain of that.
Yep.
People don't leave reviews unless they ask them, unless it's a bad review, unless they're that fire in the belly that you mentioned, where it's like rage.
Yeah.
It's hard to get that. So the point of the story is that I finally went to him for something. I had a pain in my tooth, and I went to him. And then the next day, I came back home, and I said, I saw an email from him, which was an automated email, which said, "How was your visit? Please review us." And I ignored it because I got busy and I got distracted, right? And then the next day, I saw my email, and I said, "Wow, it's another follow-up email. That's interesting." And I think there was a third email. I think I ignored that one because I got busy. And then there was a third one. And I said, you know what? This automated system, not a human being, an automated system asked me to leave a review.
Yep.
I'm going to leave a review. So I clicked the write a review button and I wrote a review. It didn't take me too long. It was pretty quick. And I wrote it and it was 5 stars and I left it. And then boom, off I go. He has another review on his Yelp page. That's happening to every single client that comes to see him. Every single patient that comes to see him is getting an automated email after the visit saying, please leave us a review. And there's probably some technology or some do not call list, do not email list, where if someone does leave that review, that they don't get harassed or bothered again. And that's just some simple logic. So I just want you to think about that idea on a grand scale about how you're getting your reviews on Yelp, on Google, on Zillow, on Redfin, on Realtor. The sky's the limit in terms of what can happen. Just imagine if we actually invested into the automation to ask people for reviews. And you heard it from me. It took 3 times to get me to do it. Sometimes it might actually take more, like 6 or even 12 times.
Right. Well, if you take that that GIF preview, you just take that link at the top right, and I'll edit the title instead of it saying the upload with today's date. I edit it and say, hey, congratulations, Scott and Teresa, on your new home purchase or the home sale. And have that personal video in the email with the links to the site, to your profiles. And by the way, your doctor's got to be good because your dentist has to be good, because in Yelp, there's no such thing as getting rid of a review. Any review that's put in there is put in there and it sticks. It can't be removed.
Yeah.
But that the links, so to be able to just have that one-on-one, that right there is absolutely one of the best spots to put the one-on-one in that congratulatory email. And I actually have some questions that I ask, about the client experience, and I want to know what was their. I'm going to pull it up. Yeah, I've got what is the high point of their experience with me? What was the low point? How did they get the level of service that they expected? And if not, how was it different? And then if they could change anything about their experience, what would it be? And the last two things were what one word would you use or what word would you use to describe your experience? And then anything else they'd like to add. I want that. That's, a survey, if you will, within a personal email that they've already gotten, dozens and dozens through the period of a transaction. So you're spot on with that, but I like dropping that one-on-one video at the top of that email, because that ask, is, because we've just gotten them across the finish line. And
Right.
some people will say, oh, they ask before the closing. And you could argue that a person's going to be very busy when they've just closed.
Yeah.
But I don't ask before, because I haven't gotten them across the finish line.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, just to put some things together as to what you said, I'll connect the dots here. So the first thing that we opened up with is this idea of creating evergreen videos.
Yep.
Creating evergreen videos allows you to clone yourself. It allows you to be scalable. It allows you to repeat yourself for every referral, every process in your business. We should have an evergreen video. And one of those things is asking for a review from our clients that have just closed a deal. Maybe this is after they get the keys, maybe it's before. Find the right time to do this, but have that video. It can be a personalized video saying, congratulations, Greg, on the closing of your home. You're going to enjoy that pool so much. Can't wait for you. And the other way to do it is to record a video that you can produce it, or it can be just a nice video that you record in your office or out there in nature or something. And you send that video URL. In fact, we have at Dubb, we have a video that we've sent hundreds, if not thousands of times to our clients. And the URL, I actually just shared it in the comments. It's dubb.com/v/reviews. And that is the link that we send to folks when we've had some success with them and we want to hear from them. We want them to leave a review. And if you go to that page, you'll notice that there's a link, there's a button, there's a call to action to every single one of the review sites that we work with. So if you just go check out that URL, and it's honestly one of my best recommendations. Create an evergreen video to ask for reviews, have specific calls to action for all your review sites, and then encourage people, create automation or do it manually. Ask 6 to 12 times to get them to do a review, and then look back in a year and go to your Yelp account or your Redfin or whatever it is, and just look at those 316 reviews that you've worked your butt off to get. And as a result, you're getting so many more leads and so much more interest, and your close rate skyrockets because the selling was done for you in those reviews. It's not, you don't have to sell anymore. Now your clients have become your best evangelists.
That what you just said is interesting, because it's almost along the lines of the digital card, like Instacart. And I haven't thought of that, because my links in there, I have the text, it's highlighted, and it's bold, and they're hyperlinks. I think I should take my template and drop it into Dubb, and then I help about 60 families a year. So that's a little bit more than one a week I've got to, send out. That I like the idea of the one-on-one, because I'm speaking directly to them, and I'm not, I think I'm wearing a sweater, and it's, when you're dealing with the weather situation, you could be summertime and sending an evergreen video in winter. You know,
Hey,
so,
I'm from SoCal. We don't really have
oh, and
seasons
you
over
guys, that's how you guys get away with it because it's the same weather all the time.
here.
Yeah, yeah, we've got,
You just made me realize I have to be careful with that term evergreen because
well,
I can record a video out in the sunlight with a tree behind me and it can be winter.
well, you know, the thing about it though is, you know, to again put the customer in the center.
Yeah.
And you know, I learned something though. I'm going to take my review stuff and move it over, add one more. uh I'll have that as a template. um that's good stuff, Ruben.
Well, this is what we explore. Come meet us. I encourage folks to come meet us in the live trainings, dubb.com/T for training. And then we also have a real estate trainings as well on Thursdays. If you want to get a link to that, just please put a link in. Please put a comment in the put a note in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get you the registration link for that. That's done on Zoom. In fact, I wanted to give you a huge shout out, Greg, because what I want to explore this Thursday, so that I can be of most value, is I want to explain how folks can actually create evergreen videos. As long as you're not doing it in a snowstorm, okay, they're going to be evergreen. Uh, how to get more reviews, how to actually acquire more reviews, how to automate the process, have specific landing pages, specific calls to action for your review sites, and then automated ways to follow up with those so that you can get your reviews. You know why? Because that's going to get you in the top 1%. That's one of the things. So, Greg, any final comments here? I wanted to just express my gratitude. Thanks so much.
No, I want to thank you and your team for, you know, building the site out, because it's a heck of a lot better than my first attempt at doing this. Was back in the early 2000s when I used to take a screenshot of something, and you know, at that point in time, it might have been a progress update on a house for a client. Actually, it was a client in Australia. Took a picture of the house. Then I photo edited the play button on top of it. Then I
Right.
saved that into my Outlook email. And then I put a link to a video that then he could watch, getting this update on where his house construction was at. That was my, you know, beginning. And then, you know, I've used another product that I used for a few years. But when I shifted over to Dubb, for me in the real estate business to be able to have custom landing pages, the
Mm.
landing pages for my listings, the put my name to my face introductions to the clients on the particular platforms. I have a hello, Zillow user. I have a hello, realtor.com user. Hello, Dave Ramsey. You know, those different, that your platform has allowed me to utilize and just pull this content together. And obviously clients like it,
Well,
because
that's so amazing to hear. I mean, tell me this: how has your experience with Dubb been, in terms of your results, in terms of your customer experience? Give me some brutally honest feedback. Would love to receive that.
it's been great. I think uh, you have to have access to my account. I think I've been using it for now. I'm in maybe 18 months, roughly. Don't remember when I did my first one, but it's something that I've really stepped on the gas with it. We've had one outage, and it was for a couple hours, and the questions, I think that, like, the mastermind, or you don't call them masterminds, but the Thursday, if a person's in the real estate business and you want to get up to speed with how to use Dubb, going into that real estate specific training, it's live on Thursdays. It's great, and there's a lot of people. Agents are all sharing in there, and you always there's always something different that we can, another level that we can take this to, because the platform is dynamic. So
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. Really appreciate it. I wanted to share the direct link to that real estate training. That's dubb.com/RET as in real estate training. So
yep,
I put that link in the comments. And listen, Greg, I'm going to see you on Thursday, right?
absolutely. It's in my
All right, we'll see
calendar.
you there, and
We
we'll
have a
go through reviews.
shared calendar link that you can put into your schedule. And I try to avoid, it's there. It's not a busy period. So if the client needs me, then okay, they're going to get me. But
Well, hey, we record it, so we'll send you the link.
yes. Well, I need to
Yeah.
go back to Darius's um, the rules and the triggers, because I
Yeah.
missed that last half of it.
We got you. We'll take care. We'll include that in reviews.
And
We
what
got
was
you.
that? What was that link again? It was dubb.com/RE.
RET.
RET. Got
Yeah.
it. Training, real estate
Real
training.
estate training. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and finish seeing, because I was dying because I just haven't been able to circle back, and it was like not being able to see the end of the story.
Right.
So
Right.
super.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Greg. See you on Thursday.
You're welcome. See you
Take
Thursday.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye now.